Hello everyone, my name is Marion with DTM Real Talk Channel. It's the channel that you can tune into, have the ability to listen to the thoughts of others about topics all over the world that touch every one of our lives. Everybody goes through basically the same thing. There is nothing new under the sun. So if you're going through, someone else has already been there. Maybe you can find hope. Maybe it's a pathway that can set you on the right road just by tuning in. So DTM Real Talk, just keeping it real. And if you like it, like us at the bottom, subscribe, and let us know just how we helped you. Just keeping it real. Nothing but love. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to DTM Real Talk, and we're just keeping it real this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before you leave, please hit that subscribe button and share this valuable information with someone you want to bless. Okay? So as I reflect on the numerous children and young adults that I've had the privilege of speaking with, I'd say in the past couple of months, they felt pretty comfortable enough to share with me some of their issues, some of their insecurities, and listening to them reminded me of a dear friend, Dwayne Torres. He passed away maybe a few years ago, shortly after he did a clip for me. Now, if you guys remember Dwayne, he was a husband, a father, he was an author. He actually was an insurance agent, which is where I met him at this company in Dallas. And he was so much more. He was an awesome individual. I knew that he loved the Lord deeply. And when he wasn't talking about how much he loved his wife and his family, he was talking about the Lord. And I was strolling through some clips the other day, and I came across this one, and I wanted to share with you guys. Some of you may remember it, some of you won't, but it highlights some of the struggles Dwayne faced with insecurity, bullying, and other challenges as a child and as an adult, but mostly as a child. And not just from his childhood, from children, but from adults as well. And I'm certain, which is why I wanted to run this clip for you, I am certain that many of your children will encounter similar experiences on their journey, if they haven't already, just as you have, just as I have, growing up in the school system and as a child. We encountered a lot of challenges, bullying, name calling, which created a lot of insecurities in ourselves. So listen closely, because after Dwayne's segment, Dr. Butler will be offering some powerful insights on the topic of insecurity and how we ought to handle it. Stay tuned. Let's just, share with the folks. I'm excited to hear. We're going to talk about today, guys, self-esteem. That's important. And so we're going to hear Dwayne's story, how he had a few challenges with that. Maybe.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. I mean, and maybe you guys out there have had those challenges. And I remember, you may remember when I shared with you about how, my brothers used to talk about my head being big. And my daddy said I was going to be a school teacher because I was walking on pencils. And that thing really messed with me, because
yeah,
I shared this with the folk a couple of weeks ago, that I would stick towels in my boots to make my legs look big because of my insecurity. But my dad, he didn't mean no harm. My parents, they didn't mean no harm. Your brothers, your sisters, don't mean any harm. But that marks a child. And I had many other insecurities, and still have a few. I just need you to know.
Well, of course. I mean, it basically goes without saying. It all starts when you were small, and kids be kids, and they don't really mean to say the things to you, but whatever seems popular at the moment to call you, whatever seems popular to say about you, it sticks with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a little heavy, they call you fat, stuff like that. Me, young as a child, I was had a little stomach, a little chubby.
Yeah.
I was called names like pig, ham hocks, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And to my teenage stage, especially from the ages between 12, between 12 and 14, I had a very, very bad case of acne. And back during that time, during the early 80s, you had acne. It's like, oh my gosh, you got disease or something like that.
Yeah.
Or how the kids would say back in the day, you got the cooties, you know?
Yeah. Crazy.
You know? So even though you know the kids are just still kids, but it still affects you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's one thing hearing it from like, you know, kids in school or people in the street, but when you hear some family members,
yes,
you know, repeating some of the things to you, it hits you. And yes, you know, deep inside, they didn't mean what they're saying. They just, you know,
right,
being a child, but it still hits you to the point like, okay, you start to believe the things that people call you,
absolutely.
You know, being also chubby, you know, I was told, you're too fat, you won't get no girls will like you. And the ones that did like me, you know, with the acne, when I had the acne and everything, the ones that did like me, they had acne themselves,
wow.
you know, and, you know, it was kind of hard growing up as a teen, you know, during the early teenage stage, because you tend to believe what people call you.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know, and at that time, see, today they have many programs where people could reach out to, you know, to talk about some of that, or you might have a family you could talk to. But for me, it was kind of hard for me to talk to family because I didn't trust them enough to tell them, hey, this is what I'm going through.
Right.
You know, and let's say I win a couple of awards. Like, let's say I get a good achievement in math, or I get an award for spelling, or, you know, anything in the elementary and the early junior high school stage. It would be like, it don't mean nothing because nobody like you, you know.
Okay.
And it's like, you be proud, you know, yeah.
They attach that to you as well.
Yeah. So you're so happy, you got the awards, you know, you know, your mom says, you know, happy for you, stuff like that, but then you got your friends or you got your family member like, that don't mean nothing. So what you got in the wood, you know? And it affects you such an early age that, and like I said, I didn't trust to speak to family. I didn't trust to speak to anybody. And now I'm gonna go back a bit. Between the ages of 8 and 11, my mother used to send me and my brother away to sleepaway camp.
Push back a little bit, you're cutting off.
I'm sorry. My mom had sent me and my brother away to sleepaway camp, and it was a Christian camp. And that was the first time I really, you know, heard about the Lord. But even in that sleepaway camp, like I said, kids will be kids. You know, there was the, you know, the Bible thumping ones like, oh, you living as a sin, the devil is after you, and no. Yeah. And then you had the, you know, the one that couldn't come, the ones that couldn't differentiate between street and church. Okay. You know, this and that, you don't get no girl, da 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 da. It was horrific, you know. Wow. And to me, that was a horrific experience because it's like, I'm trying to be taught about Christ, and I couldn't really hear what the preachers was saying because, you know, they can't be everywhere, you know. They couldn't be everywhere. So they wasn't hearing the conversation. And like I said, I couldn't trust to go to family. And that's my little hang up. I take ownership of that, not trusting to speak to somebody about what I'm going through. Right. But I didn't trust to, if I couldn't trust family, I couldn't trust to speak to the counselors what's going through. Right.
Well, a lot of times, Dwayne, a lot of times you feel that non-trust because you don't know. You don't
exactly
know. How do you know who you can trust? You don't know.
Exactly.
So your mistrust toward family. Tell us about, how do you think that came about?
Mistrust was family. The only I could think of just quickly at the top of my head is a time when I was I think it's about like 7 or 8 years old. And I felt that at the time, okay, so let me just, in elementary school, I went to an all-white elementary school in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. Okay. They used to school bus me, a couple of black, you know, children out there. And this is the first grade. And I had a teacher, and I'll never forget her name because her name was Miss Crea.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what I did or what I said was wrong.
Oh, wow.
You know, and the unfortunate part about that, I didn't realize about the racism that was happening during that time.
Yes,
Here I am, a little young boy. I'm like, what's going on? You know,
yeah,
I seen roots, but at that tender age, like 6 to 7, 8,
sure,
you grasp it, but you don't grasp it all
sure,
because your mind is still a child.
right.
You know, and no matter what I did or said, she had a problem. So she got me out of her classroom because the principal was like, hey, because it was me and another black child in her classroom. So the principal was like, okay, you can't throw them both out. You got to keep one.
Mm-hmm.
So she threw me out into another teacher. Now, this teacher, Ms. Goldman, she was more receptive of me. But it's like, if I told her something was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If a white child does something, let's say if I did something to the white child, Dwayne, you can't be doing that. That's not nice. So and so and so. Okay. And then I would go home and explain to like my mom, hey, so and so happened, confused. And it's like my mom couldn't really, she broke it down the best way she could,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't feel satisfied
Right.
at that time. And she did, that's my mom. So I love my mom to death. But it's like with that mindset that I had at the time, I couldn't articulate what she was trying to tell me about how some adults are, with racism and things of that nature. So when I felt my mom didn't do anything, and when I spoke to the teacher didn't do anything, I had this trustment of sharing what's wrong. And yes, my mom did press growing up at times. I would just sit in the house, just, make a face. My mom would press me, and my, God bless his soul, my grandparents would press me at times when we have like family gatherings,
Sure.
but I just kept to myself.
Right. As a child, you didn't know how to articulate it. You knew what you were feeling, and you didn't know how to explain what you were feeling, and nobody gave you a satisfactory answer about what you were feeling.
So exactly. So I held a lot of things in.
Yes.
I held so many things in. It's like, if I were to burst out everything that I felt growing up, I know my moms would be confused. Like, she would know that I was a loner. I was known to be a loner, but I know if I expressed, hey, mom, this is so and so and so, I know she'll be like, really? She didn't know.
She didn't know.
She didn't know because I couldn't articulate how to break down what I was feeling.
Right.
And I was too intimidated to express because of what happened at that stage of my life, where a teacher threw me out to another teacher, and the white guy does something to me. Oh, don't worry about it. He didn't mean it, whatever the case may be. Rather, Dwayne, that was really bad what you did. And it's like, wow,
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So that was in your early on childhood up into, let's just say, high school. What went on there with the feeling of
high school? To me, high school's one of the best times of my life. But even then, I was a loner. I had my friends, don't get me wrong. I had a friend, his name was Paul. That was my boy, through and through. I even call my brother,
Yeah.
But the thing is, I still was like a loner. I kept to myself a lot.
Yes.
I would even, sounds kind of funny, if someone told me that a particular girl liked me, I didn't believe them.
Right.
Gotcha. I kept to myself so much. It's like, oh, this one girl, she's checking you out. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. Because before high school, whenever it came to girls, when it came to now, I have female friends, don't get me wrong, but that's junior high school. You don't count that.
Yeah.
You
don't count that. You're about to get a whipping for talking to a little girl.
And there was one particular girl I was crazy about on the block that I lived at, but it's like, I didn't believe him, because I was to myself, I'm like, yeah, okay. Or if there's a particular girl I didn't like,
Uh-huh.
you know, instead of me, going to talk to her, get to know her,
Right.
stuff like that, I'll do this.
You freak her out.
And she'd be like, why are you staring at me? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize, I didn't realize I'm doing it, And she'd be like, and then you get guys, her friends, like, either her female friends or some guy friends come to me, hey, she don't like the way you be staring at her, yo. You need to chill out. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
because growing up, I really didn't know how to express myself.
Yes.
And to tell that girl, hey, I like you, I
Right.
think we should go out sometime, and I would joke, even in my adult stage, I would joke, hey, I'm a great catch. But but it's like
Doubtful here, a little doubtful here.
I'm a great catch, but how would they know? But I'm sitting there like, she'd be like, so what do you like to do, Dwayne? Well, I like to go out to the movies and, boring conversations,
Right.
So that's how it was. I mean, the early stage of my life, I basically kept myself as I was a loner because I really felt no one understood who I was.
Wow.
And I didn't quite know who I was.
Wow.
I had an idea. But I didn't know.
You didn't know.
You know.
Let us end right there. Dwayne didn't really know who he was. He didn't really know how to articulate his feelings. He didn't know how to express that, period. Not even to family. So guys, we thank you for tuning in. I am excited about hearing how your self-esteem, how did it rise up? Did you find out who you really were? Did you really how did that happen? Guys, we're tuning out because next week, Dwayne's going to tell us what happened. Enjoy your morning. In fact, the rest of your day. We're just keeping it real.
Thanks, Jonas, for that segment on addiction, and also we want to thank Cher and Dwayne for sharing about low self-esteem, especially as being a child. Most people don't understand the deepness and the depth of what can happen on the inside and what profound effect it can have on the outside. But let's take a scientific look at self-esteem. See, self-esteem actually, by definition, is the worth that you have within yourself. It deals with your ability to find value in the things that you see inwardly. And not only that, but it becomes a foundational component of how you actually project your thoughts, how you formulate ideas, how you solve problems, and it even changes what you define as respect based on your self-respect. So as we look into self-esteem, it's going to be one of the attributes that you must have if you really want your life to change. I mean, let's keep it real. Self-esteem is something that is a foregone conclusion, especially in today's society where everyone is trying to define everything as having no definition. But there are some definite truths about self-esteem. Most people always talk about looking at your vantage point, however you want to see things. But let's deal with the truth of what you actually, before you get to your outlook, that you check out your inlook. All of us come from somewhere. Your nose, your mouth, your eyes, your ears, your hair didn't come from you. It came from someone else. The type of feet you have, how tall you are, the pigment of skin that you have, even to some extent, the size that you grow to has to deal with something that you had no control over. The problem is everyone on the planet has a way of projecting themselves in a favorable manner. And if you look on YouTube, internet, Facebook, IG, and all these other places, when you start checking it out, it makes you feel bad. Have you ever wondered why? It's because Everybody is posting these pictures of them being happy, them enjoying this, them enjoying that. Everybody's got a great relationship. Everybody's got a great friendship and all this kind of stuff. And so when you see a picture of them, they've posed for that thing anywhere from 12 to 21 times and took the best picture. So you're not seeing the real folk. It makes you feel as if your everyday life, which is not always sunshine, which is not always blue skies, is actually wrong. People have a psychological makeup of comparing themselves to the things that they see. And if they feel differently, then they think that something's wrong with them. That makes you feel that there's no value, no worth in what you go through. But I want to share with you today that there are 4 seasons in the year. You have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And you also have those in your personality. You have those in your lifestyle. You have those in your family structures, in your relationships, even with your finances. But it does not mean that you have to define your worth, your value, or your esteem based on what happens around you. See, this is the thing. Everything that happened in your past has now given you an indelible, irremovable library for reference point. That means every harshness you had as a kid, everything you missed out on, everything that they overdid, some things that you saw that you weren't supposed to see, some dangers that you incurred that traumatized you, all those are valuable. You can rewind the tape, you can replay it, you can learn from it. It is the study hall. It is the reference point by which you're able to gain some truths that you don't have to go anywhere else to get. It is a treasure trove of knowledge. You can use that not to try to cover yourself up, but you got to learn that self-esteem is when you find value in the things that you pass. It's the way you look at it that makes the difference. Yes, look. Look inward at the things that have happened in your life, and then you can be thankful for how God has blessed you and how you've overcome in every single way. I mean, after all, you were helpless when you were born. You didn't even know your name, couldn't tie your shoes, didn't know how to walk, couldn't even wipe your own backside, couldn't feed yourself, couldn't burp yourself, but yet you're still here. That's because you have worth. You are important, and knowing that things have value allows you to understand that you have value with every single obstacle you pass. Just because you hurt from it doesn't mean it doesn't have value. It's painful for babies to be born. It's painful for a bone to be set. It's even painful to get a flu shot or an inoculation. Whenever you get pain, it's not always a punishment against your future or your promises. That just because you have a little bit of pain, you realize that now the way you look at it changes. No pain, no gain. So self-esteem now is something that you build up by looking at each life event, grabbing the value, and then releasing the pain. You went through it once, so why relive it? Why are you looking at your old life and always reliving every pain? You don't have to. Nobody told you that, but you need to tell yourself, no, it is a book on the shelf that I've learned, but I do not have to relive. I've already lived it once. I'm going to learn all of the secret values of it, and now I'm going to take it forward. Did you know that when you woke up this morning, you didn't have your entire workplace? You didn't have your uniform in your bed with you? You didn't have all your coworkers, all of the customers? You didn't have everybody in your bedroom right there up under your pillow? You know why? Because when you go to work, sometimes it's painful and difficult and stressful, but you gain all of your encouragements of going to work. And now when you get paid, your reward, the value of the time that you were spent is given to you. You take that money and you go home with it. Why can't you do that with your mind? Oh, you can. So when you look back, you need to look in and find the value. You need to look out and apply the value. So stop waiting on everyone else to be the answer. See, if this person would be nice to me, my life would be better. If my kids did this, my life would be better. If my job would do that, my life would be better. No, you can choose to be at peace and happy no matter what. I read something in the Bible one day that actually says that teaches that godliness with contentment is great gain. That whatever you have, you can choose to be content with it. Don't you know that there are people all over the world that are smiling and celebrating different situations, and some of them have no shoes on their feet, some of them have no teeth in their mouth, some of them have no family members that are alive, and some of them are holding on to just a sliver of life. Some have just been paralyzed from the neck down. But if they can smile on the inside, then it changes what they see on the outside. So you can start your self-esteem by realizing your life is something that is of value. You have a purpose, and now you have to begin to unfold that by learning to be thankful and be grateful for what you already have. Things could always be worse. You got to look at it and flip the script. So let's apply that on the outside. Whenever you take something inward and you add value to what you've learned, and now you take that value and apply it outwardly, it's just like taking a balloon and putting air in it. You don't see it to its full potential until you begin to use it for what it was designed to be. Everything that you've gone through was a lesson masker, was a training manual. It was a helper to teach you something that you didn't know before. Have you learned? See, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but never, ever learning. You're actually expecting different results from doing the same thing. But when you go back and you research, you gain something different. See, tomorrow will be different from today. Yesterday was different from the day before, which means you now have the most experience that you've ever had in your entire life. What are you doing with it? You got to change your self-respect. That's probably why you have not experienced respect. When you respect yourself, you change the way you do. You put boundaries and borders and limits on yourself based on what you know that you can accomplish, and you make up your mind that you are going to be patterning yourself for greatness. There are certain things that money should not be able to buy, and money should not be able to make you do. And if something is good, isn't it still good whether you have money or not? Hello? So if you're going to make up your mind, then choose to base your self-esteem on what lasts, on what legacy can be built. And that starts with something God has already given you. He's given you life, giving you liberty to be able to practice. And now you can build your legacy going forward. Self-esteem is something that you have within yourself. But as you learn it, you must keep from corrupting it. Most people corrupt their self-esteem by trying to become too braggadocious or putting down other people's in order to promote themselves. That's another word. It's not self-esteem, it's rudeness, it's hatred, it's manipulation or witchcraft. But God wants us to know that whenever we deal with things, that we must understand how we are not disconnected from everyone. We all came from one person. We're all connected. And so we must find value in ourselves, and then we can be able to see value in others. You know why? Because everybody's lonely. Everybody has despair. Everybody has disappointment. Everybody has been hurt. And unfortunately, it's not the last time if you keep on living. So self-esteem is that thing that gives you that value and that worth. And guess what? Even what you're going through right now has value. Focus on the value. Hello. And not the very painful aspect. If you got to go through something and you have no other choice, you might as well choose to enjoy the journey. And if you do, your self-esteem is going to build. And as you begin to share it with other people and encourage them, you begin to exercise your ability to residualize your self-esteem. See, the only thing stronger than one person is two. Many hands make light work. So when you build a network of people that encourage one another to do the same thing, then you begin to use the same human frailties that people have as a human reminder of the framework that can be created to encourage us to overcome our flaws, our fears, and our failures with the faith that pushes us into a day that has not been promised that we call tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to you building your self-esteem, getting a chance to know the God-given right and the peace, the love, the joy, and the excitement that you can experience as well. I'm Dr. Butler, and this has been Self-Esteem.
Thanks for watching DTM Real Talk. Be sure to join us for more conversation. And oh yeah, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe while you're there.